Why would somebody use a sling over like a backpack or just like get bigger pockets, bro?
Oh, because they don't know any better. No, I'm just kidding. I think people that gravitate towards sling bags, they are super dialed in what they carry.
Traveling with the old Jansport backpack with that front pocket with a zipper, like somebody just jostles you and you're already distracted, and somebody can just open up that outside pocket and grab whatever's inside.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carried Away, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of EverydayCarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hello.
So today we'll be talking about one of the most useful, if not the most divisive, ways to make more room in your everyday carry. Whether you call it a crossbody bag, a sling bag, a belt bag, or possibly what most people will call out at you, a fanny pack. Slings are here to stay. And at least for my co-host Mikey, they're an EDC essential.
Absolutely. I'm excited about this episode. I've been pitching this episode for a while, and
Yeah, I
this is
know.
a topic that's near and dear for my heart.
Couldn't wait to start yapping about sling bags.
But first, we have been on the move. I am back from the States, and you have been somewhere else. Where did you go?
Yeah, I'm back. I was in Japan, and apparently a
Ooh.
bunch of people are there right now. Maybe a better time to do that. So I went towards the end of March and the beginning of April, and it was supposed to be like peak cherry blossom season. That's cool and all. Personally, like not too into the idea of seeing all the cherry blossoms. Like it's great, nature, beautiful, whatever. But more importantly, the yen. The yen is quite weak to the US dollar. So,
That's what everybody's saying. Shop now in Japan.
yeah.
Now is the
So
time.
I went there. I wanted to do a little bit more EDC shopping and make more content about EDC in Japan. But unfortunately, I was in Tokyo and there's just like a bajillion people there. I think literally 1 bajillion. I think that's the latest census report. And I just got sick. So I got influenza type A and it just took me out. Just half of my vacation deleted. That's okay. So I was in like bedridden, brain in the microwave, just getting cooked. From the fever. So I didn't get to do a lot of that, but I did see some cool stuff, and we'll talk about a little bit of that today, as far as like slings and what kind of bags we see in Asia. But yeah, that's kind of what I was up to, and I've been back. I do have a couple of souvenirs.
Oh, I wanted to ask about that. That was my next
Yeah,
question.
sure you were. I think on a previous episode I talked about how I really enjoyed having my metal G-Shock, and then like, isn't it enough to just appreciate what I have and not want anything more than that? Well, the brainworms won, and to kind of celebrate me surviving,
You
I
bought the
bought.
most metal of metal
Yeah,
G-Shocks.
this is a MRG Casio G-Shock Square.
Ooh, look at
So this
that.
is like several alloys of titanium put together. It's like 3 different kinds of titanium. It's actually super light for what it is because it's
Really?
titanium.
It
Yeah.
looks chunky as all get out, but
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, no. It will fit kind of big, like you would like a G-Shock to, but
Mhm.
it is much lighter. Maybe it feels like half the weight of my full
Stainless
steel.
steel.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is like a fun purchase. I also bought some Grand Seikos, just because I love
Just
the
just a
brand. And
few.
well, yeah, but Grand Seiko increased their prices the day that I left or something like that.
Mm.
So I wanted to make sure I got some in there, some purchases in there. And there were models that I was looking at for a couple of years now. I think since 2022.
Yeah,
Um,
you had been planning about the Japan trip to pick up the ones you
yeah,
really wanted. Yeah.
and like maybe I'll make some content about the watches, because a lot of people really like the Seiko content, at least on YouTube Shorts. So there's some of that. And then completely unrelated though, I spent a lot of time in Akihabara trying to get a dumb phone. So I got this flip
Mm.
phone. It's called a Keitai in Japanese, but this is the only one that works in the US in the West Coast because like 2G and 3G bands are being shut down and stuff. I don't know if I'll actually go through the process of setting up one of these as part of my EDC, just because it's like pretty complicated and I'm not that addicted to my phone. I don't think that I
I was
need to
just
do
about
this,
to
but
ask, have you made a call
yeah.
with it yet?
No, 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 no. But I just appreciate like the design and that it exists.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
a cool, you know,
we
alternative way
both
to look at a staple in people's EDCs, which is just
we
a slab smartphone.
we both grew up in the time when the Motorola Razr was like the king and the
Yeah,
must-have phone, and I never got to have one. I got different flip phones, but yeah, the
I had
Razr,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
pretty sick. But anyway, yeah, we wanted to talk about slings. Well, I wanted to talk about slings, but first, I guess we should define exactly what a sling is because there's a lot of types of them out there. Some of
Hmm.
them are classified kind of like in the bigger style. Some of them maybe classified something else. So, what would you define? I have my own definition of what a sling is, but
Hmm.
how would you define what a sling is?
Well, if we're talking about using the terminology sling bag, I think a
Mm-hmm.
sling bag does what its name implies and it slings forward and backwards, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like to enable that kind of use and behavior? I think it needs to have a single strap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of two straps, as opposed to a backpack, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
has two straps, or like a tote bag, which both go on your shoulder
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like handheld, right? So sling bag goes across your chest, across your body in that way so that you can sling it from the front of your chest to your back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also small enough that it can maneuver that way. I think if it
Mm-hmm.
gets too big, you're in the messenger bag territory.
Mm-hmm.
And if it has two straps, then you're in the backpack territory. And if
Yeah.
it's on one shoulder only and doesn't go across your body, then I think you're in the tote territory or the sacoche territory.
And also forward and back if you were wearing it like its original purpose, like as a fanny pack, right?
Hmm.
And
Well,
there is
because fanny
actually
pack
a
could be on your hip or waist, though. No,
can
isn't that
it?
that's what it like a fanny? A fanny is like your rear end, your derriere, your
True,
butt,
true.
your gat. Yeah.
Oh my god,
So I
yeah, that's
think
true.
people have been misusing the term fanny pack to mean like a
Yeah,
chest bag. Anyway,
I think
semantics.
yeah, and I think also the size consideration is probably the thing I would look at the most. Anything from like 1 liter or half a liter to like 3 liters is about the sling size, and not just within the EDC space. I see a lot of really popular styles within that kind of category. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've seen those like sport like Nike or Adidas side bags that got really popular for a long time. LV makes those side bags. They're kind of like rectangular, they're kind of
Hmm.
vertical, and then they're kind of sling.
Oh
Um,
yes, yeah,
really
yeah.
popular in Asia, like especially the Nike and the LV ones are the ones I see everywhere. And then along that style, along the core style, there's the sacoche, which is kind of like a
Hmm.
more low profile. It's usually made out of ripstop, and it comes with like paracord as the strap itself.
Do I have one?
And then, oh, do you have a sacoche yourself? Sacoche. I should have actually looked up what sacoche actually means, but it's a
Uh,
very specific type of sling bag.
I know I have one.
Yeah.
I have one. I think I showed it on a previous. I think it was with the Ant one, with Ant
Ah, the
one on the techwear
the waterfall one,
episode.
the
Yeah,
ultra
that's
high.
kind
Yeah.
of like it's got a paracord thing, and it looks more like a purse, to be honest. But
Yeah, it's generally like a rectangle with with a
Mhm.
cable on it. Yeah. So now that we've kind of defined like the form factors of the sling and the general capacity and the use of it, why would somebody use a sling over like a backpack or just like get bigger pockets, bro?
Oh, because they don't know any better. No, I'm just kidding. There are like who is a sling bag for? And I've always thought of sling bags as the best way to manage pocket overflow with
Mm,
an emphasis on accessibility, right?
mhm,
So, uh, and it makes more sense when you compare it to your other options, such as a bigger messenger bag and then
mhm,
also a backpack, right? And the
yeah,
reason being, like with a bigger messenger bag and a backpack, because they are larger and the straps are a little bit more involved, accessing your gear is a little bit
it's
more
a three
difficult to
step
do.
process.
It takes a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
And you can like tuck your backpack under one strap under your arm and then like get to it in the front of your chest or whatever. It's not exactly the same. I think a lot of
Mhm,
people are used to like taking both straps off their backpack, setting it down, unzipping it from the top, and getting their items that way.
mhm,
Whereas the sling bag is just you can always have it up front at your chest, or you
Mhm.
can have it in your back and it doesn't take up much space, and then you can sling it forward. So
Yeah.
I think it's useful for people that have too much gear that will fit in their pockets alone, and then want the rest of that gear easily accessible, close to the body, within line of sight.
I have a really practical description of how I use my sling, and it's
Hmm.
exactly pocket management. Because when I step out the door, the two essentials I have is wallet and phone, right? So that's like
Hmm.
two perfectly rectangle flat objects in my pockets, low profile, not really bulky. And then I want to add earphones and maybe a flashlight on top of that. And suddenly, now I have like a bulkier right pocket. Suddenly, I want to carry like a knife or a multi tool, and now I have stuff hanging off of my left pocket. It's bumping into stuff, it's
Yeah,
scratching
yeah,
into
yeah.
stuff. And I'm like, I just want my phone in my pocket and the rest of it in like a really, really small sling, that which is what I carry now. And that's a perfect thing for it, right? I don't want to carry a
Hmm.
backpack. I'm not lugging around my laptop everywhere. I'm not like, I don't need 18 to 24 liters of space
Right,
for
right.
just my earphones and maybe a bottle of water, maybe like I have a space for like a foldable tote bag if I'm going to groceries or something. So it's like
Hmm.
that perfect size.
Interesting, because so one of the reasons why I haven't been using a sling bag lately,
Mm,
is because of two of those things that you said. So you mentioned a water bottle and also going shopping. When
mhm,
I was in Japan, I thought I would use my sling bag a lot. I ended up not. I packed like two different sling bags too,
mhm,
but because I would be like shopping or going to like a convenience store or something, and then like getting drinks, like it just wouldn't fit in that, and I would just have a tote bag instead, because it's kind of
right.
like, shopping bag or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I did find it very useful, say, for example, going through the airport or being on the plane. It's
Mhm.
just useful to have like those other smaller accessories, at
Because
my
it's right
chest or
here.
whatever. Yeah,
Because it's
because
right
like
here,
I
and
don't
it's
want to
not
dig
interfering with
through.
your belt.
Exactly, I don't want to
Yeah.
dig through my pants pockets or even jacket pockets when I'm seated in the airplane, and I don't
Mhm,
want to have to go under, the seat to get to like a bigger bag. And then
mhm,
also it's easier to, when going through security, just like unclip or remove the sling, throw it
mhm.
in the bin, and then just walk through, and all my pockets are empty to begin with.
And specifically for travel, also, it's like it's generally more secure if you know that the bulk of your stuff is right in front of you, like chest
Hmm.
level,
Yeah.
like even within a line of sight, rather than a backpack that somebody can secretly unzip. Like imagine
True, true.
traveling with the old JanSport backpack with that front pocket with a zipper. Like somebody just jostles you and you're already distracted, and somebody can just open up that outside pocket and grab whatever's inside. So if you have like a sling that's up close to you, like right here in your chest, much more secure, I think.
And I think with slings, it's one of those like rare exceptions where usually I feel that quick access and security are two sides of the same coin, and it's hard to
Mm,
have, uh, one outweigh the other. Or sorry, it's hard to have, um, one without losing the other, right?
yeah.
So if you have something that's more secure, you would think that it's harder to access, right? And that could be something like, instead of an open slit top pocket, it's a pocket with a folding flap and a magnetic, button lock or something on it for that type of
Mm,
closure. So that's
yeah.
more secure, but harder to access. Whereas
Yeah.
just by the design and the way that you use a sling bag, it's both easily accessible and more secure, in the sense that it's in front of you within line of sight and less likely to be,
Mm,
pickpocketed or whatever. So
yeah.
that is one of the pros, I think, of a sling bag that's unique to the sling bag.
Yeah. So what are the cons? You mentioned that one of the big cons for you was just the form factor of it is not the most convenient or the most ideal for you because like
Well,
you wanted quick access to your water bottle or
not it's not necessarily the form factor and the access, right? Because I think those are its strengths. It's
mm,
just the capacity. Because we
okay.
defined it as being something lower capacity, it's not going to
Mm,
work for those moments where the capacity of what you need to carry in a day is unpredictable. And that's,
yeah.
one of the reasons why you carry a foldable shopping bag, right,
Mhm.
in there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but for me on vacation, right, like, or traveling, like my day to day isn't as well defined and predictable. So that's why I didn't feel the most comfortable with, just a sling.
We have a member in our Discord. His name's Doggo. I have been talking to him about it for years, and his two biggest problems with slings, because he's tried a ton of them, finding
Mm,
the perfect one. He can't carry his water bottle because he like you, he carries a 32 ounce,
who
and
would do that?
number two, if he's trying to pack a jacket because of unpredictable weather. Those two things specifically make it so hard for him to find the perfect sling, because he wants a small sling just because he doesn't want to, he wants to find that Goldilocks spot of not having to have it in his pockets and also not have to carry his backpack, but
Yeah,
also fit the requirements of a 32 ounce bottle and a rolled up jacket. It's just finding that balance has led him down a really long and very deep rabbit hole of trying to find the perfect thing, just those
right, right.
confusing and conflicting requirements that he needs.
Well, nobody asked me, but Doggo, if I were you, what I would do is look into techwear. Watch our techwear episode if you haven't, because there are
Mm.
rain jackets that fold into a test tube, basically. So that's just something you can like hang off of your small sling. Or some jackets have slings built into them, not as storage.
Mm.
Well, actually, some are storage, but as in like the jacket itself can be slung instead of
Yes, the
worn. So
classic.
so there's that, and also for your water bottle, maybe you look into the collapsible, rollable, foldable ones, and
Mm.
you just like fill up with water as needed, and then as you're drinking and staying hydrated, then you just like tuck that away.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a constant, like, he doesn't, like, he needs to have the bottle, he doesn't want to give up the 32 ounces, he doesn't want to downgrade. So
Mm.
it's always at, finding that balance, right?
Yeah, so that's why I think people that gravitate towards sling bags, they are super dialed in what they carry, and like they have figured out just what it is they need and what they don't need, and then they
Mm,
find a sling bag that's like perfectly attuned to that and
mm.
designed for that. Not saying that Doggo isn't dialed in. I'm sure they're dialed, but
Oh yeah.
that's just something that I see more. Um, like a lot more in the enthusiast realm, like people will look into sling bags. But interestingly, also, we see sling bags are just more popular with the more mainstream now. But I
Mm,
don't think they're as um, organized and like detailed in that kind of construction.
yeah.
And they're just like just a new pocket that people have
Yeah, yeah.
discovered, right?
So
But
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna finish up with like what I think some of the cons are that we haven't mentioned, and this is an important one for me that explains why I don't use a sling bag too often. To me, sling bags are just not as comfortable as backpacks because you have only one strap on one shoulder, and I'm
Mm,
getting old, and my shoulders and neck are fricked from either
dude.
rock climbing or just using the computer all the time, using a mouse like trackpad, trackball, whatever. I'm trying to like fix all that, but like sustained load on one shoulder only,
Mm.
that gets uncomfortable for me when it comes to like a full day being out.
So two things. I woke up today with a stiff neck, and wow, having a stiff neck is miserable because
Yeah.
you really take for granted how heavy your head is and how much your neck and your traps like do work. And if you wake
Well,
up with a stiff neck, it's just you just find yourself in situations where like it hurts.
yeah,
And then
nice humble brag with how heavy your head is. Mine is just completely empty. So like I'm fine on that front.
my one brain cell is just kind of like dense.
True.
Um, second thing is I did actually develop a neck injury in an old work. I used to
Hmm.
carry the we'll have it on screen, the 511 Moab
Yeah.
10, which is a 10
Yeah.
liter sling bag. But that thing was like that weighed about 5 pounds by itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I used to carry a
It's like
laptop
heavy
in it.
duty
Yeah,
Cordura,
yeah.
right?
Extremely heavy. And I used to carry like a full laptop IT loadout in it. And after 2 years of carrying that, I did develop a neck problem. I had to get the MRI and everything. So
Yeah, not to blame the victim or anything, but I think that was your fault for putting a laptop in a sling
yeah.
bag. Like, I just don't think that the sling bag is optimized for heavier loads
No.
precisely for that reason.
Yeah.
And
Learned my
yeah,
lesson.
my loadouts, like I would love my loadouts to be either they can be in my pockets only, or I just use a backpack.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much how it is for me. I don't even bother with like messenger bags because I don't commute in that way where I need that kind of mobility. So that's
And
another thing that we didn't mention about sling bags is that they let you be very nimble also.
yes.
Whether you're commuting like on a bike or whatever, you're less impeded by having, say, a full size backpack. Or if you take public transportation, like it's easier to move your sling bag to the front of you and you sit down, or just like get it out of the way if it's like a crowded train, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just to take it back, it's interesting you mentioned the different kind of like use cases, like mainstream versus enthusiast. That's kind of like what prompted me to want to do this episode, because on the EDC side of things, on the carry side of things, how people treat their sling bags and the things that they look for are vastly different from how the mainstream is using it. And really the big reason that prompted me this is when we went on our retreat in Vegas, a couple of our coworkers were wearing the viral Lululemon women's single
Yeah,
sling. Like,
apparently the perfect sling.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's funny is people in the like one of the carry groups I'm in, they're like, my girlfriend wants or my girlfriend, my wife wants the Lululemon sling, but I think it's kind of low quality. I want to get them one that's like in our little class of our tier
Uh-huh.
of materials and stuff. And all of the comments were like, bro, number one,
Just get
stop.
her what you want.
Number two, get the Lululemon, because if you try and change
Yeah.
it, she's just gonna want the Lululemon
Yeah,
bag.
exactly.
Yeah. And that dichotomy is just kind of like so interesting and so hilarious to me also. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fix your sling preference, I'm gonna turn that into Dyneema with fidlocks and everything. But no, bro, she just really wants the Lululemon bag because
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I think this is like a great example of like it's okay to just want what you want and then get what you want. Don't worry if it's like the
Mm,
top of the line or greatest quality. I think there's some considerations like, oh, is it infringing on IP or something?
mm,
But like I will just put myself on blast. Like I have honestly have not looked at sling bags other than the ones that I designed, um, because I just don't think that the ones that I want existed on the market. So it's
mm,
just like, well, I have the privilege and opportunity to make some that I think will serve a certain use case and like solve a certain problem. But the perfect one for me only, like if I didn't have to worry about considerations of like selling them and like will it fit with the product market and like all that kind of stuff, like if it was just what I would want, I don't think that exists. So
mm. Well, we'll get back to that later.
yeah.
um So, I want to also take it back. So, the Lululemon bag is super popular. Your girlfriend, your wife, your partner probably has seen it somewhere. It's super viral.
Mine? I
I,
don't know who you're talking about.
I ended up actually buying one for my wife as a result from the
Yeah.
retreat, and she loves it. Like, it's the perfect size. It's just like you described earlier. It's just a dump pocket for her wallet,
Yeah.
for a larger wallet, for sunglasses, for sunscreen, just those like earphones, just those little things. Because like also, um, historically, women's pants don't really have great pockets either, so that
Hmm.
also doubles as extra storage for storage that they didn't have in the first place. So it's very useful for them. Um, Other like viral bags I've also seen, the Uniqlo taco bag that had a moment also like last year.
Hmm.
It's really inexpensive. It's kind of like a sack it does look like a taco. It just kind of like a, we'll have it on
Yeah.
screen. It kind of just like a floppy U-shaped thing that's comes in a bunch of colors, really really fancy. But I'm also curious, what did you see in Japan as far as slings go? Since it's like a very nimble, mobile, big walking community, big walking country.
Yeah. So
I'm most curious to see what you saw there.
like I was kind of looking at what bags people had.
Mm,
And maybe this has changed because the last time I went to Japan before this year was in 2017, and
mhm,
that was before I designed the Atlas Sling, right? And if you guys don't know, the Atlas Sling was a collaboration I did with Manhattan Portage, and they're like a popular global brand, but they have like heritage in New York City, and then I think they're also a Taiwanese company, and they're also big in Asia. So when I was in Japan in 2017, I saw a lot of the like Manhattan Portage label, like that red label,
mm,
and a lot of people were using sling bags I saw some from like Porter and Head Porter as well. That's like a
Mm.
popular Japanese carry brand.
Yeah, yeah.
And then even some like outdoor brands that are popular in Asia, like Montbell. But when I went back this year, I saw a lot of backpacks, honestly, like backpacks, messenger bags, a lot of no name stuff, obviously. Like not everybody's like an EDC carry gearhead kind of
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Um, I saw a lot of Mystery Ranch, you know.
Mm.
I think people like in Japan, I think people like US brands. And I think they also like
Yeah.
outdoor, like Gorpcore is like kind of cool in the culture there. I saw a lot of
And
people sort of
workwear
dressed that way.
style also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I still did see an overwhelming amount of Manhattan Portage, and it might just be like one of the psychological effects where, like, if you know about it, then you'll see it everywhere. And I think maybe there was some confirmation bias of me looking for Manhattan Portage bags everywhere, so I could
Mm.
point out to my friends who was with me on the trip, be like, "See, that's the brand that I like, designed with." Um, so yeah, I saw a lot of that. But one thing that I thought was interesting was the use of basically phone tethers. They're
Mm.
like, imagine you had a sling bag and all you put in it was a phone, and then just remove the bag part and just attach the sling directly to your
It's
phone.
it's just like it just connects to your phone like this, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah, it's
it
like a
hangs off of
lanyard.
you.
But
Yeah.
because phones are so big now, it's like it takes up the space of just like a small sling bag. And I saw men and women where it's just like they would just have that slung on their body, so they always had access to their phone, and then maybe they might have um like a wallet attached to the phone, or not even a wallet, but just like this, it's almost like a luggage tag or like a credentials lanyard for cards. And they would
Mm.
have like their Suica card, so like their transit card to tap in, and stuff like that.
Mm.
So pretty interesting. I think that was like a new trend that interested me. And like I was walking through one of the malls there. It's called Miyashita Park. And I
Mm.
saw a booth for basically it was advertising those slings, but then I looked at the other bags they made and they were made from like they had like fidlock. It was like laser cut and bonded and RF welded construction with like AquaGuard
Wow.
zippers and stuff. I will try to find what that brand was, but it was like a Japanese thing that I've never seen before. I was
Mm.
like, oh, okay, so that's cool. They have like technical stuff here, but people are
Yeah.
just really buying these like phone lanyards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a friend who just came back from Japan also, and he also sent me one because he's like, "Oh, look, EDC, the hottest EDC thing in Japan. It's
yeah,
just a rope. It's just a
yeah.
cable." Yeah, I found that pretty funny, and I think that's a great segue. We talked about the mainstream slings, and the EDC side of slings is like super nerdy. Like you mentioned that you weren't up to date, and I am
Mm,
seeing like the slings as one of the most popular form factors, or like right after backpacks. People like their slings
right,
because it's
right.
like natural progression, right? You have your backpack for a day pack, a weekender, and then for smaller, you want the sling bag. And then,
Hmm.
man, people have gotten super advanced with slings these days. It's pushing material technology. We're seeing stuff. It used to be just like X-Pack and Dyneema, and now there's competitors to both of those. Now there's Echo Pack,
Right.
which is like a recycled version of it. Ultra is now the Dyneema competitor. That's like the latest and greatest. Um, and then everybody's experimenting with like the hardware, like Fidlocks, of course. So one
Hmm.
of the most popular magnetic. It's very convenient. Remember those Cobra clips from early EDC? Those are really popular buckles.
Like
The
Austria
Cobra
Alpin, the
buckle.
huge ones.
Yeah, the ones that go like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
those are really popular as well. And it's just like AquaGuard zippers
Hmm.
across the board now. And yeah, there's a lot of choice. There's a lot of like small makers taking on like really niche attempts, and like kind of like micro brandish artisan small batch type of
Right,
slings.
right.
Because like you said, it's at the end of the day, it's just like a bigger pocket to free up your pockets. And when that's done, when the functionality is there, how are you gonna like dress it up? How are you gonna like
Yeah. What is your point of
start
differentiation? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you start making those micro improvements, or where do you start micro optimizing like every little bit of it? And
Hmm.
then yeah, and then you have the bigger brands who are like you mentioned, Mystery Ranch have their own line of slings. The Hip Monkeys really popular. Um, you have you have your sling also from Manhattan Portage, the Atlas
Hmm.
sling, which is and I also like that there's also really interesting ways of even the strap configuration is kind of interesting to me, because like your Atlas sling is different from like a normal fanny pack style, right? It's
Yeah.
more of like it's like a bullet laptop style, more vertical. It
Right.
sits vertically. Do you have it on you?
Yeah, I have both. Sorry, I have both. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
both
Yeah.
of them I've designed so that they sit vertically on your back. These are not
Mm,
like the kind of chest kind of fanny packs that, or not fanny packs, sling bags that we were describing from like Lululemon and stuff, which
mm,
arguably for like the, I guess where people are at right now, the mainstream is at right now, that's probably the optimal design, to be honest. Like
mm.
it sells the most, it's simple enough. So we're talking, I just thought this was funny earlier when you're talking about like how can these artisanal makers make optimizations. In my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, are they optimizations or are we just making things worse and more expensive? I don't know. I to us, like, yeah, we're optimizing it, it's getting better, the performance is there, right, the
Yeah.
functionality is there, but maybe the world is not ready for that yet. But anyway, to answer your question, yes, so the strap configurations that I wanted to design are like more vertical, so they sit vertically on your back, and I think that's just more ergonomic for like the human spine.
Hmm.
But they can be slung forward and then they end up sitting horizontally in the front, which I also think is more ergonomic for reaching in from the side, because your arms like are lateral, right? They're not like
Mm,
straight down. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so I will say though that there you can adjust the strap, like mine are
Yeah.
removable, so
I,
that you can
I'm
like change the orientation.
Yeah, I'm kind of divided on how I like the sling, because I used to have an L strap configuration where it connects to the sling from the top and then from the side,
Mhm.
so it's like an L. I used to be divided which was more comfortable, if it's just like the straight across one or the L shape configuration. I'm not sure which one I like
So
better.
here's one that's like a straight across, right? That you're talking
Yeah, there you
about.
go. That's the one.
Yeah. So here's one. This is just like a beam. So I actually got this when I went to Japan the first time, because I saw like, wait,
Mm,
everybody has like fanny packs, sling bag things, so I need to get one.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is an Arc'teryx, like an old school Arc'teryx one, co-branded with beams. But yeah,
Awesome.
I don't think that these are ergonomic, and it goes to one of the cons that I said earlier about slings and why I don't wear them. Um, just because like I don't know, your shoulders are not a straight line, but the strap is a straight line. That's why I think the
Yeah,
L configuration makes more sense.
true, true, true.
But maybe that's like a wrong take. Maybe I'm just wrong and people will like come for me for that, but that's just
Or maybe you're kind of more jacked in certain places and then it just doesn't
nah.
fit you well.
Nah.
Okay, I think that's a good segue into um we were talking about like the capacities and like our preferences. What would you actually carry, or what do you actually carry in your sling? How do you load out your slings? What are you
Mm.
carrying in your slings these days? If you were to carry a sling, because you mentioned you're more on the tote side of things mostly,
Yeah.
but if you were to do sling, what is your usual daily loadout?
So the sling that I use is actually the one that I used on the trip more than I thought. I ended up using the Atlas sling just as the pouch organizer.
Hmm.
So that one, if you guys didn't know, it's like it can be worn as a sling, but you could also remove the strap, and then the inside has like gear loop organizers. And I use that for like my chargers and tech and like the small essentials that I wasn't accessing more often while I was out and about. But while I was going through the airport and on the plane and stuff, I used one of these, and this is like it just goes over, the shoulder. It can be in the front like this.
Yeah.
But the reason why I like a a fanny, or not a fanny, well, it kind of is a fanny pack, but a sling bag like this, um, is that it has a lot of vertical dividers, I guess, for things
Mm.
that are flat and phone shaped, which is kind of like what I had going on. And like there's also this like more security pocket in the back. And when I talk about some of my most used EDC stuff that I want like near me, it's a lot of it is tech. And what is the form factor of tech? It's like, well,
A
they're
rectangle.
yeah, like a flat rectangle. Um, and you know, it could be phones, it could be like a camera. Um, I had my Walkman, so like a digital audio player, and then I just had other smaller things like medication, earplugs, earphones, a mask, because you know when I was getting sick and like that kind of stuff, and that's all like flat or small. So I just wanted like small pockets and like dividers to stop things from scratching, and then also just holding like flat rectangular things in place. So that's kind of what I ended up doing. And I will say, full transparency, I didn't bring like a knife around, like on my, you know,
Let's
on
not
the
make the sphere
airplane
a
and stuff like
mistake.
that. Yeah, like I didn't do that because I was going to Japan. It's just like not something that people do there. So I just respected that and didn't bring it. I checked in Swiss Army knife and like my little around square folder, like the very small pocket knife. But I
Yeah,
ended up not like walking around with that, and I ended up
yeah,
not really needing it out and about. So
yeah.
that's kind of what I use. My yeah, that's kind of what I would use. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it that's a bag that I got, I don't know, over 5 years ago, and it worked again for this trip. So
We're getting back again to the ideal Lululemon size. Maybe they figured it out already.
I
Maybe they.
think they did.
I think they did.
Honestly, I think
It's
people just want a
popular for a
small
reason.
extra pocket that's close to their chest and looks cute. I think that's like what most people can, yeah, can get away with. So
Yeah. I have a little bit mix of stuff that I carry. I have a bunch of flat stuff also. So I have like a power bank and one of my wallets. I guess earphones are kind of flat in that regard also.
mhm.
So a bunch of, but I have kind of like different sizes of stuff. I also have like a little um, alcohol
Sanitizer.
bottle,
Yeah.
sanitizer. I have a round flashlight. This is the black version of the Loop
Oh yeah,
flashlight that
I
I
had
like using.
that, but I just kept it in my alpaca hub pouch. So I had
Yeah.
that in a pouch.
And my last non-flat thing is this nano bag, which is my packable tote.
Oh, I
So
had
this
a
is the
nano tarp blanket.
oh,
Yeah, for like picnics and stuff.
did you get to use it though?
No, because it rained in Japan all week, so I didn't use it. And
Oh
even when
man.
I did go to the park, the cherry blossoms weren't blossoming. I was like, "Yo,
Okay.
you guys need to lock in right now. I only have like a few more days left. They did not bloom." But
So let me get this straight. You missed the sakura, you
yes,
got rained on, and then you
and
got
then I
sick
got
for half
sick.
of your trip.
Yep. And then
Ah,
as I was leaving the airport, I could see some of them were starting to bloom. And then now that I'm
ah.
here in the States, like all my friends, they're leaving because I guess they knew better. Like they just knew. Anyway, yeah.
So I wanted to we had a discussion like over a course of time. That actually isn't your perfect sling bag, right? Like it has elements of like would be perfect for you. But whenever we
Yes.
would talk about slings, you always describe to me like the perfect sling bag for you does not exist yet. And why is that?
Well, there are two answers. One, the one that you're looking for is because, oh, it doesn't have like the design features that I'm looking for. But
Okay.
two, the other one, and the more based answer is because there is no perfect anything when it comes to EDC.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because things will always change, right? Your tastes, your use cases,
Mm,
the things that are available on the market. Things many years ago we might have said was perfect and that was grail worthy, but then
mhm.
as time goes on, there's always something better. There's always something new, or maybe you just lose interest in that thing. So the
Or
perfect
like
sling bag does not exist, and it
yeah.
never will. But if we tried to have this thought experiment, this little
Yeah.
game, this is the closest thing that I have to it. And it looks like a chalk
Wow.
bag, but it's actually not a chalk bag. It's a more expensive, less performant version of a chalk bag because it
Mm.
can't hold chalk and it just costs more. And it's, but
Plus, it doesn't
basically,
have the vertical slots that you need
it,
that you
it does
actually
not.
use.
It does not. It only has one on the back, right? But the important thing about this is when you can wear this like as a crossbody bag, but when you sling it forward, or you don't even have to sling it forward. The main thing is that you have unimpeded top access, right?
Mm.
So if you have a bunch of just vertical slabs, right, then you can just like put them in here and then just like pick them out. And to me, that's useful. Like when I have like a camera in here, so like my point and shoot camera, say it's like a Ricoh GR3 or something, I want to
Yeah.
pull that out and be able to use it instead of like undoing a buckle and like, flicking through all that
That
stuff.
looks so insecure to me though. Like both from
It
like a
is. Anyone can just
pickpocket
yoink this. Yeah.
and also like what if it tips over? It's just like
Yeah, exactly.
everything.
So I
Yeah.
mean, you can cinch this like a chalk
Oh,
bag or
okay.
whatever,
All right. Right.
and it's easy to like cinch. You just saw it's like pull once, right? It's not
Yeah.
completely waterproof that way. There's going to be a small aperture as it cinches towards the center, and you do have to use two hands to disengage the cinch.
Mm.
And then there is like some extra zippered storage on the back, but if I had something, it would be something in the style where the form factor is prioritizing top down entry for these sort of slab type items.
Mm.
But that doesn't really exist, except
Yeah.
for actually, when I think about it, like EDC gear caddies, like gear slips, that's kind of the same thing, but they're
Right.
not bags.
Yeah. So
They
what
go
if
in
you
your
have
pocket.
a fixed
Yeah, so
like
I
a
think what we
larger
need to do,
caddy?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We make a caddy and then we take the little tethers that are popular for phones and then just
Just put
strap
it
that
all
to the caddy.
together. Just put it
Yeah.
all together. Oh, we've
Okay,
done
we
it.
solved it. So it
We've done
exists
it.
now. Nobody steal that idea, please.
Yeah.
We have bills to pay here at everydaycarry.com. So maybe we'll develop this bag. But I don't know. Let me know also in the comments if you're listening to this. Like, I'm curious if you think that would be, if we're cooking here, if you think that would be a good idea. Like a gear slip caddy with
With vertical
a
slots and
vertical
gear
slots.
and gear and sized gear like for a flashlight and a pen
Yeah.
and like the phone
And
and a
then,
knife.
yeah, probably some kind of like zippered storage on the other side of it that's like close to your body. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like a security pocket.
And it
But
can have
then
card slots.
yes, but you have a strap. So it's basically you're turning all your pants pockets and wallet and phone into this one thing on a strap, so that if somebody steals that, you're screwed.
You're
I think
screwed.
that's
Your
it.
whole
I think we
life
figured
is just
exactly. I think we figured it
it's
out.
gone. Right, right. Um, I have also close. I actually okay. So there's a thing to this. I actually have very extremely close to the perfect sling for me,
Okay.
but I can't talk about it yet because it's not out yet. I'm gonna
What?
hold it up to the camera, but we're gonna need to have to blur it out because this hasn't been announced yet. This is kind of like
Well,
a
maybe you shouldn't do it then.
um, okay. So it's just some clues. It's my
Okay.
favorite brand, and you're gonna be ultra excited about it. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Ultra
So
excited, you say?
yeah,
Hmm.
so it's my favorite
What if
brand,
I'm
and
just Cordura excited?
um, you should be a bit more excited than that. But
Okay,
anyway,
more excited.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
but the thing is, I say it's close to perfect because I think it's a little too big, and the size I'm looking for is the Lululemon size. I kind of want it just a little bit smaller. We've come full circle.
Yeah.
I think we should close that topic because we're all leading down the same road. So I
To me,
think okay,
to me, it sounds like if we were to make a recommendation for somebody after listening to like 43 minutes of us talking about what a sling bag should be, are we just gonna say get the Lululemon one?
yeah, I think so. It comes in a bunch of colors. It's not that expensive.
Okay.
It works for yourself and your significant other. Oh, come on. How can you go wrong? But seriously,
D-
though,
d- well, does Lululemon market it as a women's only bag, or is it like unisex?
no,
I don't know. It's
I'd say it
unisex
was, yeah, I'd say
because
so.
I've seen lots of guys wear it.
I
Honestly,
know,
like
I
at the
have
mall.
too.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
even in
yeah,
Vegas, when we were in Vegas, I would see guys everywhere, like, having it.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that's the perfect segue to close out this whole discussion. And let's just make some final recommendations that are not the Lululemon bag. And
Okay,
just
pass.
give, just
That's on
give
you.
just to give people some idea of like EDC, I guess EDC tier, or more kind of like more along the EDC
Hmm.
recommendations. I wanted to make I wanted to close it out with some personal recommendations and stuff that I've seen, I've tried myself, and are like kind of super popular in the community, and I have some reasons for choosing that as well. Um, I want to start with you. I don't know if you want to, if you want, you've already mentioned like the Atlas sling. That I think that's a
Hmm.
great recommendation. Both of them have vastly different uses, and also are useful in their own way. And just as an aside, also, I really like for the first version that the straps are detachable. I think that's such a super underrated feature where you can detach the straps. I think a lot of slings could do more to remove the strap, because then it can act as a pouch, and then it's easier to travel with, and you can use it as an organizer when you travel with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna have to plug the stuff that I designed, and Mikey also helped me design some of this too. But this is the everydaycarry.com cross Manhattan portage at the sling. This is the version 2, and
Mhm.
this is not only just like a sling or like crossbody bag, but it's also a gear organizer, tech organizer kind of pouch. And this is, I don't want to like advertise this too much. I've made content about this. It's
Yeah.
Cordura nylon YKK zippers, custom made, YKK hardware, and it's just designed for like the urban EDC with some tactical influence, but just a nod, not too much. And then
Plus,
the bigger version.
yeah,
What's that?
it's a collab that's always available. You can actually
True,
still buy it right now. So
you
I'm just
can.
saying, just saying.
Um, I will say the prices have gone a little bit higher than when I first designed them, but that's just the way of the world right now. And then
Yeah.
here's like the Atlasling Pro. It's a little bit bigger.
Mhm.
This is just more of like feedback driven. A lot of people wanted a bigger bag that still has the functionality that they just showed, but this just has way more pockets and it's a little bit more travel friendly. They're like pull handles on all four sides. There's like a lot of hook and loop kind of customization options, more Molly, um, that kind of stuff.
My favorite, one of my favorite features about that, and something I get asked about all the time, is it fits an iPad. It fits the
Yes.
large iPad. And
Mhm.
a lot of people surprisingly ask me what sling fits the large iPad, because it's not, because they're trying, again, just kind of like Doggo, they're trying to find the smallest possible form factor for sling
Yeah.
without having to cross over into messenger or tote
Yeah.
backpack territory. So
I
that's
will
one of the
say
few
it's,
backpack. Yeah.
but it's more like the 10-inch iPad, not the large like 12.9-inch
Yeah,
or
the 10
11-inch.
inch,
Yeah.
the standard one, not
Not
the
the
pro.
Pro. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah,
Wanted to
yeah,
make that clear, just in
yeah.
case. But as for other recommendations, like, I mean,
Unfortunately, those ones aren't like out of production already, right?
my other recommendations,
The Arcteryx ones that you have.
they might be. Honestly, they
Yeah.
might be. I think the dump pocket one. I don't recommend this for most people. I'm just weird like that. This was System A, so this was like a streetwear kind of their subline. You can honestly just get a chalk bag, which is funny because I've seen like I think it was Louis Vuitton or something. They made a chalk bag purse and they charged like $1 bajillion for it. Um,
Balenciaga.
but yeah, and then like this is a dispatch sling. This is from
Oh
the
yeah.
R&D line. This one's made of
Mm.
Dyneema
Anyway.
and
Okay.
some. I think this is an Aqua Guard. They're YKK zippers, but this is also very simple. Where it's just like this kind of size, and then
Yeah.
there's no real organization though,
Yeah.
other than a top pocket for smaller stuff, and then this bigger pocket. This I think is maybe too expensive just from a material standpoint. For the design you get to recommend as something to try.
Mm.
If you're into bags, this is more of like you're already into bags. You already know you like slings, and then you also know that you um, like what's it called ITW Nexus hardware, YKK hardware,
Yeah.
um, and Dyneema fabrics and stuff. From I believe this is also made in the USA, or at least designed in the USA.
Yeah.
Dispatch, San Francisco. Um, but yeah, all that yapping aside, it's like, yeah, maybe the Lululemon bags are good.
Yeah. Okay. So, a bit more serious. We didn't talk about what our recommendations would be, but your two recommendations now are kind of like crazy similar to what I was going to recommend,
Well, those
because
were my
yeah.
recommendations.
Um, No,
So
no.
yeah, what are yours?
I mentioned that the feature I like from the larger Atlas Sling, the Atlas Sling Pro, is it could carry an iPad, right? Like
Uh huh.
the standard size one. The what I was going to recommend is the Air Day Sling 3 Max. And why I
Okay.
like that is it's a larger sling. It's, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's 5 or 6 liters. It's a bit on the larger side, just under where you would fall under a messenger.
I see it. Yes.
So it's large enough to actually. I was using it as a gym bag for a while. It's large enough to fit like an extra change of clothes in it, but it
Hmm.
also packs flat, and it comes in X pack, which is kind of like one of the technical materials. Um, so I kind of like, it's kind of like a larger. It's not the Goldilocks size of the one I'm
Yeah,
using
it's like
now.
6 liters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I like the fact that it's X pack, and I like the fact that it's just large enough to have a bunch more stuff in it, but not fall into the messenger territory. So it's kind
Hmm.
of like in a nice niche of size and capacity. And then now you mentioned the dispatch sling, which is a bit more expensive um, for Dyneema. My recommendation for a smaller size, like a small Lululemon size, is the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Versa,
Oh yeah,
which
yeah. We had
is
one of those in our giveaway.
yeah, so it's like one of the best ways to try a Dyneema sling. I love it. It's like, it's also just like a simple dump pocket, detachable straps. Really underrated. It now comes in white, which is really cool.
Hmm.
But it also came in the original black Dyneema. Um, I believe it's $80, so it's still a little bit pricey. But
I think
I
it's
think
less than that.
it's
I think it's $60.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to try out to see if you like Dyneema for yourself. It's obviously it's since it's like based on hiking, ultralight hiking packs,
Hmm.
it's super super light. So if you want to try out like an EDC tier advanced material type thing that's not too expensive and also really simple and light and perfect for like an everyday sling, I would really recommend the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Versa.
Yeah. And I think that's a great recommendation for if your pocket overflow stuff that you want to put in a sling bag tends to be
Mhm.
a little bit heavier versus like if you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna put it my phone in my wallet and like lip balm or something, like, just like a casual EDC kind of person, then you don't need to shave grams off with
Yeah,
Dyneema from Hyperlight
sure.
Mountain Gear,
Yeah,
right? But if you are in like the situation where your gear is a little bit heavier and you want to try sling, I do think it makes sense to invest in the lightest possible container of that in
yeah.
that form factor, which would be a sling like this made in Dyneema.
Yeah, and just like the Air X-Pac sling, X-Pac and Dyneema are two of the most popular materials right now. Just
Hmm.
from a technical standpoint, from a usability standpoint, they're both kind of waterproof. They're both super light, very performant, highly technical
Hmm.
materials. I think it's worth trying out to see if you like them, and then get like, if you want to try getting your bags, larger bags in that kind of material. They're kind of all the rage in EDC and carry circles for a reason. um they're, yeah, so waterproofing, all of that,
Hmm.
performant, advanced materials. And I want to just make one last recommendation. It just came out recently, is the alpaca vertex pouch. It's
Mm.
really cool because it doesn't open normally like other slings. It kind of like the top section of it flips down, and then there's like open section where you can stand it on a desk, and you can start pulling stuff out of it. Take
Oh,
a
interesting.
if you can pull up a photo of it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
kind of
looking at
like,
it right now. I
yeah,
To me, this doesn't read as a sling. This reads as a tech organizer pouch that has a strap on it, which is kind of like the Atlas sling.
sure, sure. It's kind of like based on the really popular Evergood's Cap 2 sling, where the top half of it folds down and it sits
Hmm.
on a desk, and it's your organizer or your tech pouch, and then it just sits there on the desk with you. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a larger version of that with a strap on it, like you said. And then I just thought that it's one of the more unique form factors for a sling. It's like a really interesting design and also usability type of form factor. So
Hmm.
I want to make that recommendation so that people can just check out. It doesn't always have to be like a simple zipper on the top, or like there is some
Yeah.
creativity being done in this space for for sling, so it's not just like a simple zipper across or like around the top.
So I'm looking at the other offerings from Alpaca, and I do
Mm.
appreciate that they do have vertical slings and some with
Yes.
like flip top openings instead of like a
Mm.
zipper that goes across,
Bro,
because that's
alpaca
kind of,
makes so
yeah,
many slings.
yeah, they do. It's a little bit closer to like what I was envisioning as like what would be the most ideal for me right now in my current EDC.
Mhm.
However, this also got me thinking. Like we're making these recommendations about EDC sling bags, and we're saying how it's like they're finally popular now, and like fanny packs are no longer stigmatized, and everybody has a Lululemon fanny pack or whatever, right? But
Mm.
I'm wondering, is this here to stay? Actually, like, what would it take for slings to fall out of the meta? Because I think there's a
Mm.
possibility of that happening, just because we're seeing stuff like phone slings and phone tethers. Like it went from a sling bag, you put your phone in it, and then a
Mm.
phone sling. Alpaca makes a phone sling. This is what I saw on the their website, and made me start thinking about this. But
Yeah.
then we also started talking about phone tethers, where you just
Yeah.
have a case where the phone becomes the thing. And then like as more things get integrated into your phone, so we're talking like MagSafe wallets or whatever. There are even phone cases that have like lip balm holders. Those are viral in like
Oh
the
yeah, that
women's
that went
space,
viral.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like imagine more and more things are getting concentrated into the smartphone, which is what a lot of people carry, um,
Mm.
to the point that like I don't know, maybe all of this becomes integrated to the point where you just need something to hold that one thing, and maybe it's not a sling anymore. I don't know.
Maybe Japan figured it out already. Like they're living in the future with Apple Pay and everything Isuika cards on their
Yeah.
Apple Wallet. Maybe they have figured it out. But let us
Until
know
then,
what
yeah.
what your sling what what your sling situation is like. With I'm always like this is one of my favorite form factors for bags
Hmm.
because just from the sheer experimentation I've done with it and also just like the advancements in hardware and materials that I kind of nerd out about. So I am curious what everybody else is rocking out there. Do you rock a Lululemon sling
Yeah, it's
yourself?
going to be 100% Lululemon, gang. I think that's
Yeah,
that's probably what's going to happen. But
Lululemon, talk to us.
yeah.
We want to get sponsored.
So that just about wraps it up for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. And if you did, please consider subscribing. If you're listening through a podcast service and you really enjoy what we do here, please consider leaving a review and a positive rating, as it really helps the podcast. You can follow us on social media for more content daily on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all of that will be linked in the description below. And if you want to be part of our EDC community, feel free to hop into our Facebook group or Discord server for more real time discussion with other EDCers who are struggling to find their perfect sling setup. Shoutouts to Doggo. And lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered on the show, you can shoot us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com, and we'll get that answered on the show in our next Q&A segment. So thank you again for listening to Carry the Way. I'm Bernard.
And I'm Mikey, and glad to have you back, man. Glad to do this again.
Thanks. And until the next one, peace.